Hey guys, it's Cameroon and welcome back to another video. I know it's been some time when it comes to pick'ems, but that's because after the Mid-Season Madness tournament, Overwatch League went on an almost 1 month break. But finally, we are back with the summer stage and it's time to make more predictions. Now, if you don't know what this video is about or haven't watched any of my other prediction videos, I basically go over the current Overwatch League week and give my predictions plus explaining why I made them. Now, this week has a lot more games and we're entering into a new meta. So I'm going to base my predictions more so on what we've already seen from these teams rather than speculation, and I'll also be going a little quicker because of the number of games. Now, if you don't have a lot of time to listen to me explain everything, just like every other prediction video, I'll have a chapter where you can skip ahead to see my pick'ems. If you end up doing that, maybe just leave a like on the video, and if you want more, subscribing is always a nice way to let me know. A lot of you have subscribed recently, whether it be because of my news, Overwatch League videos, or something else, and I just want to say thank you and welcome to the channel. If you are new to these videos, or just pick'ems in Overwatch League in general, I have a couple of videos that will get you set up for earning rewards by watching the streams and setting up pick'ems. I highly recommend checking out the Summer Stage rewards video I made. Lets you know how you can get 4 free skins and Overwatch League tokens. And I'm not sure if this is a bug or not, but there are no token matches again. The site still advertises token matches on their homepage, which makes me believe they are bugged once again, and it may be updated later throughout the week, but honestly, who knows? This site always has been buggy, so I'm not surprised by this. Funnily enough, it has happened before, and it got fixed though. So hopefully, this is the same case. And just a reminder for predictions, I make these videos to help guide unfamiliar viewers that may just watch for tokens and don't know too much about teams. So if you feel differently on a prediction, follow your gut. Now, let's get into the first week of the summer stage, or week 9. First off, we have crystal ball picks. Basically, you just have to choose 2 teams from each region that you think will advance from the summer stage. Now, regardless on who you choose, you'll get 3 owl tokens from submitting them. I'm just gonna go with the safe picks. So for the West, I'll go with the Atlanta Reign and the Houston Outlaws, and for the East, I'll go with the Hangzhou Spark and Seoul Inferno. And here's a big reminder. You have to submit your crystal ball picks before 12 p.m. Pacific time, or 3 p.m. Eastern time, or 8 p.m. UK time on Thursday, July 13th, or they will close and you will not get your tokens or points. Okay, now onto the East region pick'ems. Now there are contenders teams in the East matches, by the way, which I'm not too familiar with, but usually the safe bet is to go against them unless they're O2 Blast. Now let's go on to the first match, which happens on July 14th for the East region. So it's Guangzhou Charge versus O2 Blast. Personally, I think Guangzhou Charge is going to win. They are still a very strong team, and they were competing against Hangzhou Spark neck and neck, and they used to be like the only team undefeated for the longest period of time. But I think it's going to be really close because O2 Blast is insane. So I'm going to give it to Guangzhou Charge, but 3-2. Next up, we have the Seoul Inferno versus the Hangzhou Spark. This is just a crazy match to begin with. I'm sorry, Seoul Inferno, but I think I'm going to have to go with the Hangzhou Spark in this situation and say 3-2. And then we have Seoul Dynasty versus Shanghai Dragons. Seoul Dynasty and Shanghai Dragons haven't been having a very good season. Now, they have a couple of switch-ups on their team, so maybe they'll play a little different now. I'm going to go with the safer pick and say that Seoul Dynasty will win 3-1 because Shanghai hasn't really shown too much. Next up, we have Guangzhou Charge versus Hangzhou Spark. Again, another great match, but I think Hangzhou Spark is going to take it 3-2. Now, Dallas Fuel versus the Poker Face Gaming contenders team. Dallas has been posting things on Twitter showing their team play against other contenders teams, and I think they've been doing pretty well. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say that the Overwatch League team should beat the contenders team, and I'm going to say 3-1 for Dallas Fuel. Then we have Seoul Dynasty versus Panthera. I can't remember if Seoul Dynasty lost against Panthera as the contenders team, but I think they lost against Dreamers. I still think Seoul Dynasty is going to win, but it's going to be close and it'll be 3-2. Then we have the Dreamers versus the Shanghai Dragons. Now, the Dreamers had a really good run in the Mid-Season Madness, and for that reason, I actually think they're going to beat the Shanghai Dragons. I could be wrong, but I'll make it 3-2 just in case. And then we have the Dallas Fuel versus O2 Blast. Now, this is a hard one because I want to say Dallas Fuel will win, but O2 Blast is just a very strong team, and I think O2 Blast is going to win this 3-2. I'm sorry, Dallas Fuel. I hope you prove me wrong, but right now I don't see it happening. Then we have Seoul Inferno versus Poker Face Gaming. Now, I know Poker Face Gaming is actually a really good team as well, but I'm sorry, Seoul Inferno is going to beat you. I'm going to say it's 3-1. Then we have the Dreamers versus Panther. I think that the Dreamers are going to win this. I'm going to say 3-1. So I got no 3-0s for the East region, but that's pretty much it. Now let's move on to the West. We've got 4 days of games, so I'll try to keep it as quick as possible. First match we have is Florida Mayhem versus the Houston Outlaws. Now, I'm going to personally say that the Houston Outlaws are going to win 3-1. Now, Florida Mayhem is a very strong team, but the Houston Outlaws have proven to be the second best team in the whole league. The Atlanta Reign are facing the London Spitfire in the next match. I'm going to give it to the Atlanta Reign as a 3-1. For some odd reason, Spitfire always gets a match. Then we have the Los Angeles Gladiators versus the San Francisco Shock. This is a hard one because the Shock have been making some changes. They still have Proper, but the Gladiators are a little bit more of a solid team, but they lost Dante. I'm going to go with the Gladiators 3-2. If Shock win, I wouldn't be surprised either. Then we have the New York Excelsior versus the Las Vegas Eternal. Now, the Las Vegas Eternal had a couple new players come in, and the New York Excelsior has let go of a couple players. I still think Excelsior is stronger, but honestly, if the Las Vegas Eternal could prove me wrong in this game, I'd be so happy. I'm going to say it's 3-2. Then we we have the Los Angeles Gladiators versus the Los Angeles Valiant. Sorry, Valiant, I haven't really been seeing much about you guys, and I'm just gonna say the Gladiators win 3-0. Then we have the San Francisco Shock and the Washington Justice. Now, the Justice are a solid team, and they've beaten many of the better teams in previous games this season. So I'm gonna give it to the Justice and say it's gonna be a 3-2. Now, if the Shock were to win, it's gonna be because of proper. Then we have the Toronto Defiant versus Vancouver Titans. Toronto has made some changes, and Titans have had some things going on. For that reason, I think Toronto's gonna win 3-1. Next up, we have the Atlanta Reign versus the Justice. I'm sorry, Justice, you're not going to beat the Atlanta Reign, but I'll give you a match. So I think the Atlanta Reign is going to win 3-1. Then we have the Boston Uprising versus the Houston Outlaws. This is going to be a great match. I think Houston Outlaws are going to win, but Boston's going to make it competitive. They have very good players on their team. They did let go of Striker, but he rarely played anyway. I still think that the Outlaws are going to beat the Uprising. 3-2. Then we have the London Spitfire versus the New York Excelsior. Now, this is where I'm hoping the London Spitfire step it up and beat New York and get some wins in their season. So I'm going to give it 3-1. I think that Chatty's just going to pop off and they're going to take this match. Then we have the Florida Man versus Vancouver Titans. I'm sorry, Titans, you ain't going to win this. I think Florida is not going to take that loss against Houston Outlaws very lightly, and they are going to destroy their next opponent, which is the Titans. 3-0. Then we have the Boston Uprising versus the Las Vegas Eternal. I'm sorry, Las Vegas, I want you to win, but Boston's going to win this 3-0. And lastly, we have the Toronto Defiant versus the Los Angeles Valiant. Toronto Defiant has been making moves. They got some good players on the team. They still have Kaluge. They still have Hydron, to name a few, and they got a couple more players too. Valiant hasn't really been making moves, like I said before. So I'm going to give it to Toronto Defiant. I think it's going to be a 3-1. And here are my Summer Stage Week 1 pick'ems, or Week 9. Since we're heading into a new meta, there is chances for many upsets. Some teams may perform way better if the meta suits them, or vice versa. So I apologize in advance if some of my predictions are just flat out wrong, but going off on what we've seen so far from previous weeks, I wouldn't change my preds. Remember, the first stream happens tomorrow, or Thursday, July 13th, at 12 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, or 8 p.m. UK time. So be sure to submit your pick'ems before that time. Anyways, if you liked the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing. And yeah, enjoy watching the Overwatch League this weekend. I will talk to you all soon.